Welcome back to Unranked Podcast. You have Elijah here alongside Grant. We're going to get into the Super Bowl review. We're going to get into just kind of our thoughts on that, thoughts on Stafford's legacy after he gets the ship, get the monkey off his back, slide into a big NBA trade, and then a little bit of Olympic talk. But first things first, I see you repping the Detroit hat. Our man Stafford, after 12, 13 years with the Lions, first year with the Rams, he got it done. Thoughts on that season, thoughts on the team as a whole, and kind of where he stands.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, this is crazy. I don't think it could have happened, any better than it did. You talk from a team that, left a team that picked, top 5 in the draft, top 7 in the draft this past season. Literally it was probably the laughing stock of the NFL at some point. He just endured so much to where, the fact that he was able to go through all that, come to a new team within 1 year and take them all the way to the mountaintop. I mean, that's just such storybook material. That's something that you don't ever expect or see every day. I'm just glad he was able to pull it out. And, I kind of told you, what was so ironic about even the game itself and how he had to lead the comeback drive to win the game, for the Rams. Half of his wins in Detroit were comeback wins. And how ironic is it that he's in a spot with a chance to win the game, coming from behind. He's in a similar situation, a similar spot that he'd been in his entire Detroit Lions career. So, it was almost like all the stuff he kind of, dealt with Detroit, went through, it ultimately, in the end, prepared him for this moment. So I'm just so happy for him because, I've been, you and I both been big Stafford fans, always going to bat for him. People want to, give him the blame. And obviously he played very well for a very long time, but has ups and downs like every other quarterback does, in any given season. And, I'm just glad that everybody, the whole world was able to see what we've been able to witness most of our, childhood growing up. And, he's able to silence all the doubters, the haters, just saying that he was, more so part of the problem, in Detroit and not just kind of like the bright star, just kind of like the individual in Detroit that was kind of being held down by a bad franchise. So I'm happy for him, man. It's been great to just kind of see all the publicity he's getting and whatnot the last couple of days. It's well deserved.
I would say this is a perfect example of preparation meeting opportunity. Like you said, he prepared for this for the first 13 years of his career with being with the Lions. Yep. Obviously, he pulled us from the depth. I think we drafted him the year after we went 0-16. And so, he come walking into that franchise, taking them to the playoffs 3 separate times, probably going through 5 coaches. I'd say that's probably the real number, maybe 4, maybe
right.
6.
Maybe generous.
So, burning through a coach every other year while you're there, burning through probably as many GMs, not having you did have the Megatron years, and you did have a couple of the peak years when we made the playoffs, when we had a real coach with Jim Caldwell. And so, but all of that, just getting the taste of the playoffs even, and being able to, and being on the Lions and giving the opportunity to come back so many times, that did give him, he was well equipped to go into that situation. That's not, it wasn't deer in the headlights. Not that he had never been there before. And then the opportunity is just going to a great franchise. How often do we hear about, if this team just had a quarterback, they would win the Super Bowl? Or if that quarterback just had a defense, he would win the Super Bowl. And that often people would glamorize that opportunity, and people glamorize how that might turn out. But very rarely does it happen, and very rarely does it, once it does come together, does it work? We see dream teams fall apart all the time. So I think it's very good to hold that ship together. For him to come in, I'm sure a lot of people on that team might not have been even sold on him when he came into that locker room. They may have thought he was just, statting or patting pats. For 10 years. But I think, he had to go in there, earn his keep. He won over the locker room. You've seen that the way Aaron Donald had his arm around him this championship. what's the word? The rally, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
parade, yeah.
Yeah. So ultimately, I just think he's sitting in a great situation here. He has a great young coach that seems to his offense seems to flourish around Stafford, and Stafford seems to flourish in that offense. And just to kind of just be honest, and wrap it up here for myself on this, Stafford is what he is. He's a gunslinger. You know, and I personally, I love gunslingers. I do. I think I'm all for risking the biscuit. I'm going for it, pushing the edge. And I think that's what he is. You know, you've seen that when he's a front runner. When things are going well, he's throwing the ball deep. He's really pushing it, but that sometimes bites you in the end. And you've seen that in the Super Bowl with some of those, or that one questionable pick. But also you see him push the ball deep when they make immaculate throws. So he's a gunslinger.
Yeah, man. Like I said, and it's just so funny. You know, you just see him, no look passes, doing a lot of that stuff, and just now he's on ESPN. Now he's on all the the sports social media sites. They're showing the no look from different angles, and I'm just sitting back like, we've been watching this for years.
Yeah, I've seen this at Ford Field 100 times.
Yeah, and if we being real, I mean, he was making a lot of them crazy passes before Mahomes was even in the league. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want to kind of say that Mahomes is the one that, kind of started that, and that's not the case at all. I mean, we've seen Stafford throwing the ball all different arm angles, just making things happen, and it was kind of crazy, just like watching that game when they got the ball back when they were down 20-16. I was nervous, but I was like Stafford been here before. Like part of me was like, obviously anything can happen, but I'm pretty confident he's gonna be able to get him down the field, and just be able to come through like we've always seen him do. But yeah, I think that's just prime example. Like, you get a good supporting cast around you, you get a competent coach, you get good weapons, like a strong coaching staff overall. Really the sky's the limit. So that's all he needed was just an opportunity. Like he said, back in September, October, he just wanted the opportunity to play the biggest games and make big plays, and I'm glad he was able to do that. And it's just very impressive because he literally had an 0-3 playoff record, went 4-0 in the playoffs this year. I think he's one of the first quarterbacks in NFL history to score, to throw for over 50 touchdowns, in a certain amount of yards, in a full season, and win a Super Bowl. So breaking some records, creating records, however you want to look at it in the process. And I'm just kind of obviously we'll be able to talk a little more down the road about what this next season is going to look like, and hopefully they kind of put him in the position to set him up for success, long term, so we can just continue to see this this progress from him.
Yeah, and I guess I would say I've never seen a quarterback have a season like this and there be such an orchestrated hate campaign against him. Whether it's on First Take or ESPN or Undisputed or just random dudes on Twitter. Everybody has an opinion and something to say about why he's not Hall of Fame material, and I've never seen that. Usually speaking, once a quarterback does that, it rights the ship. All else is forgiven. That's kind of all else is forgiven after that. And I don't understand why that doesn't apply in this situation. And, just looking, I did a tiny bit of research on the worst quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. And I think, some of these guys they've glamorized that were complete trash. I don't
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath. I looked at his stats, bro. His stats are ass.
Yeah.
50% completion, 50 more interceptions than touchdowns, and a losing record.
Yeah.
And then I just don't and then the other one was the only other losing record was Johnny Surgiston. He was 69-73 in his career, and so I just don't understand. I believe Stafford is a good amount of games behind under 500, probably 8, 9. I looked the other day, but I would imagine with a couple more playoff type caliber seasons, not even Super Bowl wins, but just competing for playoffs and making the playoffs, he's going to finish his career over 500. He's going to finish his career with, battering around, 450 touchdown passes. I just don't understand how you can say that. And if you're having this debate with a man that probably has a good 5 more years in the league, that shows me kind of what if you're debating whether he's in the Hall of Fame coming off of a Super Bowl with probably 5 more great years or 3 more great years, 6 more years total in the league. That kind of shows you that he's a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. If you're having the debate this early in,
And I think it's kind of crazy too, because Richard Sherman's kind of bringing up, how he has no Pro Bowls. I mean, Mac Jones somehow found his way into the Pro Bowl this year. You know what I'm saying? That's just how much of a joke the Pro Bowl is. Like, Kyler Murray was selected to the Pro Bowl over Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford had way better numbers than him.
Yep.
Like, it's literally like people like Tom Brady has not went to the Pro Bowl in probably over 10 or 12 years. Obviously, some of those are because he was in the Super Bowl, like still playing, like whatever that looks like. But like guys are literally declining, like even having the opportunity to go. So it's like, well, how is that even like? I just can't see how that's even like a measurable stat. I could get, hopefully he makes All Pro, maybe like 1 or 2 times, is in the running for like an MVP, maybe even wins the MVP a couple of years from now, something along those lines. I think as long as they're able to keep that team around him, we'll definitely start to see him getting that respect and getting some of those accolades that, everybody says he like quote unquote needs in order to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. But to me, it's just like, there needs to be a different conversation into like the meaning of like what a Pro Bowl really is. Because you can't keep like you got guys like opting out, declining the invites. They're just taking the next, the next guy in line or, calling around whoever wants to go next. And like you said, when it's all said and done, he's already top 12 in pretty much every major passing category. He might end up being like, top 8, or I think he'll end up being top 10 in passing yards alone after next season's over with. He's getting up there as far as touchdowns. Like and I think, and even like the narrative is like, oh, he was in Detroit, like playing for a bad team. I look at it as, look at what he was in Detroit doing, playing for a bad team. Like, if you were to put you put Jared Goff in that environment, look at how they had to, play with him this past year.
Jared could not have made it 13 years with the Lions. We would just not have been mentally tough enough, physically tough enough.
Right.
It just wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and I was saying, I even go as far as saying this, like, what if Aaron Rodgers and Matt Stafford switched organizations from the last 13 years? Aaron Rodgers is always, and I'm on that Aaron Rodgers overrated hype train. Like, it really is, like, I pretty much solidified my seat on the train in this past season when he choked as the 1 seed at home against against the Niners.
Right.
Like, what if they switch spots? Like, Aaron Rodgers has been beaten up on, that's pretty much guaranteed 6 to 8 wins in that division every year because of how bad it is. Like, what if Stafford was in Green Bay and Rodgers in Detroit? We'll be having the same conversation. Like, would Rodgers be, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things I feel like that are kind of like there to, like, that people need to like try to open their eyes up to and just kind of understand more about overall. That's just kind of like where I'm at with it, though.
No, I completely agree. And I guess I wonder, let's say he doesn't get any of those things, but he continues to win. Is that, I just don't understand why winning isn't a cure like it normally is.
Right.
I wonder, like, let's say he continues to put up similar stats like what you're saying, but, but at the end of the day, he makes it to another Super Bowl, but they don't win. He has, but 10, 11 wins every year. It makes me wonder, why would that not count like it normally does? And he has put up a lot of stats. Those couple of those Calvin Johnson years, he was, I think he had 5,000 yards one year. So he's putting up good numbers. And I just don't understand. I really don't. I just think it's a bigger narrative that I feel like is trying to be pushed, and almost and kind of is ultimate disrespect to the Lions franchise when you really think about how, like, they don't even count what the fuck happens here as a real thing. And, it's really – it's bad. It's really an indictment on the Lions more so than even him. That, it just – and real quick, I want to say this. This is Stafford's stats 2011 through 17. He was third in yards in 2011. He was third in yards, third in touchdowns. Second in yards in 2012, third in yards, fifth in touchdowns in 2013, top 10 in both yards and touchdowns in 14, and in 17 he was third in yards, fourth in touchdowns. And that's
Yeah,
basically every year he's hovering around top 5 of both, couple
yeah,
tens. I mean, I don't know what more you want from a guy that was on a franchise holding, tying him down.
right. And I mean, he's responsible for two receivers, leading the league in receiving yards.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody got to get them the ball, And like I said, it's all we know. It's always kind of been Detroit versus everybody. We always been the butt of the joke. Don't get no love on ESPN unless it's them shitting on us about rooting for Stafford. We know what it is. I just think it's kind of crazy that like you said, you hit it right on the head. My man's just won a Super Bowl, and all people can talk about is how he don't belong in the Hall of Fame yet, and he is in his 13th year, and probably could potentially play until he's until like his 18th, 19th, 20th season, like a lot of guys are doing now. So, but if you ask me, I mean, he got as many rings as Aaron Rodgers does, as many rings as Russell Wilson does. He got more rings than half the quarterbacks in the league right now.
Yep.
And he's just, I mean, this is like he's in like his, he's in like the, like his second chapter, what I'm saying? Of just like, it can only get better from here. So, I'm optimistic. I already know he's going to just continue to do what he's doing and just silence the haters and continue to be successful as long as he's, in a situation that's going to allow him to be successful.
No, I agree. I would agree. Wish the best for him. And I'm looking to see, if he can put it together again.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about a little bit. Yeah, they're in a good spot. The AFC is that's like the gauntlet. That's where you don't want to be. Depending on where some of these guys go in the offseason, that NFC West could look way different than it did this past year. I mean, they could potentially be like kind of like how the Bucs are, like running the table, or like in that mix, to try to make a run. I think if he can at least get them to the playoffs consistently, if he can maybe win one more the next like 4 to 5 years, something along those lines, like conversation would pretty much be over with. So
yeah, and like I brought it up earlier that you don't normally see a trade work out this well. And another guy that we've been talking about getting potentially traded for a while now, that'd be Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, he has not played all year. We hadn't seen him since probably May of last year. So, he's recently been traded, major blockbuster trade. Your thoughts on that? Who you think kind of won the trade, or how do you, short term, long term, how do you plan it out?
About time, man. About time they finally got up off of him. I'm actually surprised. Like they ended up like I would say Brooklyn definitely won this trade. Like Philly ended up getting and I'm I think I told you before, I missed the 6-man OKC Harden. The new Harden, all he really just care about is doing his own thing and kind of just, not taking care of his body, hamstrings all messed up. I think Brooklyn definitely won this trade, and Ben Simmons, now the key is going to be when is he going to be able to come back and start to contribute, because they are in the 8th seed or the 7th or 8th seed right now. They're, the Brooklyn's definitely fell off. I would say long term, they're the ones probably sitting the best. We've talked about Ben Simmons, regardless of, the shooting issues he has. I mean, that's a guy, I'm always be okay with a guy that's going to be able to handle the ball, distribute, and play tough defense, especially in today's NBA where nobody really – where defense is an option until, the conference finals. Yeah. So, I feel like he's like that perfect situation. I mean, I'm kind of getting Draymond Green and Golden State vibes, where he'll just be able to run around and facilitate, have KD and Kyrie coming off screens, helping them, get open and just putting them in spots to be successful. And like I said, he does this thing on the defensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the court, at a very, very high level. When it comes to Philly, I just, for me, I'm just kind of hoping that Embiid, that works with Harden. The wild card is going to be already now, Harden's already not going to be playing for a couple weeks. For them, it's more of how much does he have left in the tank at a very high level? You know what I'm saying? It's the East is way too competitive for guys to be trying to show up mid-April, May, getting things revved up. When you got Miami, Milwaukee, Chicago, and all these other teams starting to peak at the perfect time, or starting to kind of come into their own. Obviously, it's only February. We still, I think the last game of the season ends up being second week of April or something like that. But I think Brooklyn is probably a little more. And then even too, if Kyrie, if he can, they somehow find a way to get him to play full time,
Yeah.
I think they definitely gonna be the ones sitting a little prettier than Philly come playoff time.
Yeah, no, I second a lot of that. I think I guess I don't understand what Philly was doing. They waited all year and then got ripped off. They gave up.
Finessed.
Yeah, they gave up Drummond, who would start on every other team other than probably that team. You gave up a lockdown 3-and-D guy in Curry, and you gave up a 24-year-old all-star and 2 picks. So
yep.
I just don't get for a guy who doesn't really seem to want to put in the effort to be all-time great. He's cool with He's cool with just being what it is. I can get buckets. Yeah. If we win, we win. If not, it's cool. And I don't know if I'm mortgaging the future on that. And so I second that. And I think, I obviously want Ben to get back much quicker than later. But I think even in the immediate short term, you can throw Drummond in there. That's going to shore up that defense a little bit right off rip.
Yep.
Curry, shore up that defense right off rip. And I would imagine you would hope that get KD back and him, and both get them in the mix. I don't know, probably early March. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating. That's at least what I read online, that they're going to wait till after the All-Star break, gave KD a little more weeks off.
Yeah.
Help Ben Simmons get his legs back as well, and then kind of hit the ground running headed into March. They're on a quick slide down. They lost like 11, 10 games in a row.
11 last 12 or something like that. Yeah.
So, but when you look at that, there's a bunch of teams bunched in that win total. So if they can get hot again and do the opposite, let's say they can win like 10 of 11 or something like that, heading into March, you can quickly shoot back up and be third in the East in a couple of weeks. So that's kind of what I anticipate. I think I don't know. I think it's going to work, but that's all contingent on KD coming back. I think you put a healthy KD around these guys. You see what he did last year in the playoffs solo. I agree. I agree that it's he won that trade. I just can't believe it got rid like that after waiting on 6 months for it.
I think what happened, Harden just started because he's got a real good relationship with Daryl Morey. And I heard that he was basically telling the Nets that he wanted to be there and make it work out, but then on the back end, he was talking to Daryl Morey. And I think I even heard KD kind of chimed in and was just like, just do it. Just whatever, just take care of it. Just stop, basically just kind of told him, we just need to get him out of here. We can't, because he ain't going to play if they don't trade him at the trade deadline. So I think they kind of just were both hands were forced, just kind of pull the trigger and kind of throw some stuff out there. But like you said, Sacramento offering up, Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton. We saw all these trades that were coming up that they were just straight up declining. And I think the fact that, they kind of allowed themselves to, Daryl Morey just made more of a personal, a selfish decision rather than making a good decision for the franchise. But all in all, this is going to come down to, man, it's always been, I feel like, the last couple of years been with KD, Kyrie, and Harden, it's injuries. KD, what they always kind of tend to do is, they want to, not rush him. You know what I'm saying? He might come and play, a couple games and sit out. It's what my fear is for them is you're always kind of worried about people getting hurt or getting too tired or you don't want to wrap them up too much for the playoffs. When you're sitting in the 7th-8 seed, you only got Kyrie for half the season. I think I saw that he's only available for maybe, at least at this time, he's only available for 15 more games this season. So and it even kind of depends on I'm looking right now, they're playing the Knicks tonight, and he can't play even though it's in New York because just of the vaccine mandate, even though it's at the Garden. So there's a lot of things that are gonna kind of go into play there. And it's very interesting to see that they're still the favorites. Brooklyn's still the favorites to win it all when they're currently sitting at the 6th or 7th seed. I just think that's kind of a big slap in the face to the former NBA champs and all the other teams that don't have all this other drama going on and they're just chomping at the bit, to do what they need to do to get back to the finals.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely extremely disrespectful. But I think they look at it as, KD was an inch short of winning that series.
Yeah.
solo. I think that's literally what they're looking at it as. And I mean, I'm not sure how they manipulate all of that, but I'm sure they're probably trying to manipulate the money a little bit as well this early on.
Oh yeah.
But what are they what are they gonna do with Kyrie if it's in the middle of the playoffs, Game 7 or Game 6 is elimination game and he can't play on? It's just gonna be like, God damn.
Yeah, because I even tell you like a prime example last year, they did sitting all them guys out, ended up getting the 2 seed. That's for one situation where I feel like seeding mattered in their situation, because instead of seeing the winner of Philly and Atlanta, to where I think they would have matched it better with them, they had to see Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? So I just think like there's things like that. Like you don't want to, obviously we've seen like players, like Braun, for example. It don't matter. Sometimes there's been times where it didn't matter what seed he was, but I just feel like there's like in this situation, you got a part-time player. You got a guy that ain't played all season. You got a guy, the best, probably top 3 player in the NBA coming off an injury. It's just like, that seeding stuff is going to be key.
I think you would want to obviously be as high as possible in that seeding.
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal opinion. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what Ben type of shape he'll come back in, what type of playing, how is he going to be? Is he going to be aggressive? Is he going to be overly timid? Is he going to be, coming out ready to prove something? I think they have a lot of shit juggling.
Yeah. A lot of uncertainty there for sure. And I think, but like, we could turn around and see that the vaccine mandates lifted and, Kyrie back. That would sure up things a little bit more, even if it is just him and Ben Simmons rocking it out to KD, get back right. But right now, there's just so much uncertainty to where it's kind of tough to kind of see how they unfold. But I still do feel like they came out better. Now I see Philly is kind of, they probably, I see a second round exit in their future, just kind of depending on where they end up. Because they gave away way too much for somebody that probably really only going to play like 12 to 15, maybe more games this season. So let's just put more on Embiid's knees and shoulders.
And sneaky good pickup, just to throw him in, was the Bucks getting Serge Ibaka. I think that's one of the things that, his numbers aren't too sexy now, but I mean, he's a veteran player, play good defense, can always hit a timely shot, hella playoff experience, and just he's going to be a timely guy. But we least expect it like mid-second round. He's going to be locking somebody up or hitting a shot. That's a sneaky good pickup. So
I say they probably the deepest team in the East. I mean, they got a lot of firepower. I watched them play the last couple nights. They've been on TV, and you got that. You got that monster just in the like the head of the snake, just giving you 40 and 10, 50 and 15, 35 and whatever. Like just any given night that just don't. You already got a taste, so they got an uphill climb for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So we'll see.
a lot of good basketball to come up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Nets and the Sixers, I think they play like mid-March in Philly.
I did see that.
So
I'm looking forward to it. Obviously football wrapping up. I'm just looking forward to locking in March Madness around the corner and then slide right in. I mean, it's going. We're gonna be sitting pretty until like June, July.
Oh yeah. That's where the dog days pop up. Yeah, right. But we wanted to definitely touch on a topic that we had spoke about a while back in the summer, related to Sha'Carri Richardson. As a lot of people know, she had a tragic loss in her family. Smoked weed, and might I add, this is it's 2022 now, so it's not like that's weed it's a whole different spotlight on weed now than it was, back a few years ago. And, a lot of people, with that being said, a lot of people couldn't understand why she was literally stripped of her opportunity to, play, to perform in the Olympics. And it's not just, and I think one thing I want to say is not just like a run. It's not just like, that 1 or 2 runs or those couple of runs that she gets to participate in. It's endorsements, it's money, it's commercials, it's stuff that can set her family up for, years down the road. She was stripped of that. And then now we've come to find out that there's a young lady in these Olympics that took performance enhancers. Sha'Carri didn't take, performance enhancers. She just smoked weed. This individual took performance enhancers. They deemed her still eligible to perform in the Olympics because they claimed that it's being an accident. So I'll just go ahead and kind of give you the floor on that. What your thoughts are, and I'll come up after you.
Yeah, no, I think you summed it up well. I think she was completely robbed of her opportunity, robbed of something she worked her entire life for, and wrongfully so, in my personal opinion. And if I remember correctly, I think it was legal in the state where she even smoked it at. If I'm remembering correctly, but it's something that I guess top down they decided against, and it just makes you wonder why she was singled out for a non-performance enhancing drug. And the young lady from Russia who was using a steroid or a human growth hormone, something to benefit them, is able to play, was able to compete in her skating over the weekend. I read that she actually did pretty well over the weekend, so she might be heading towards a gold medal or a placing on at least. So that's going to be a real slap in the face when you consider they're allowing this young lady to go perform. And Shakai Richardson was robbed of her opportunity for something that was going to give her no additional benefit as far as helping her run faster or anything along those lines. There was no added benefit or added performance benefit to her smoking at all. It might have been or negative. So it doesn't make sense to why she would be completely stolen that opportunity. And I know we talked about this in the summertime, but how big that opportunity is. This only comes around every 4 years. I think most Olympic athletes don't even get to compete in 2 separate games. So when you consider that you're at your peak, and then that window is such a short opportunity, it's life-changing. She could be a household name right now for being a gold medalist versus what she is a household name for, and that is being wrongfully kept out of her sport and performing at a high level.
Because it's not like she can't do how NBA players can go over there and just go win a gold medal and come back to their $50-60 million contracts, play a full season, have this opportunity to generate significant amount of income. That was literally her golden ticket. That's how I kind of look at it. Now obviously we know she's not just over here down bad, just not doing well completely at all. She still has endorsements, still has some stuff coming in, but I look at that as the golden ticket. That would have been, if she would have went over there and finished top 3 or finished first, man, we would have been talking about her 20, 30 years from now. Right. So I just think the fact that like I said, she didn't take any performance enhancers, no HGH, none of that, none of that type of shit. She literally was grieving, and decided to, just help with that process. And some people out there are going to say, that's an excuse, and, she's a grown woman. She has to learn how to, handle things well. She could have went about it differently, whatever the case may be. But I think when it comes down to it, I mean, you got to look at, how those types of things need to be changed for the future. There's no reason why people should be, missing out on things that, now you got, so many people profiting off of marijuana. Mm-hmm. It's legalized almost everywhere, in the United States. And I know, like I said, I know it's the Olympic rule and it's something, a committee worldwide kind of delegates, but they need to look at that a little deeper when it comes to putting people like her in the situation that she was put in unfairly.
In what world would it be okay for you to use it? So what they're essentially saying is it would be better for her to use steroids than to smoke weed.
Yeah.
That's essentially the message they're sending to everybody. Hey, young student athletes, you're more likely to get kicked out of the Olympics if you use marijuana than if you go ahead and use a performance enhancer. And that's just the wrong message. Those are, and I just can't imagine pushing that message. And just go back to everything she's missing out on. A lot of their post-life revolves around them gold medals. That's coaching opportunities. That's endorsement deals. That's being on Nike's Olympic calendar for the next 20 years with, you standing with your medals. And it's a lot that goes into that she'll never be able to experience. The experience of going to the Olympics and being seen and you're being a household face. They could put you being a household face, somebody like a Usain Bolt. He's known around the world for literally winning the 100 and 200 meter dash. We only seen that man for a combined 32 seconds and he is a household name across the world. And so that's the things that they're robbing of her. And I just hope that she ultimately comes out on top and trains harder than ever and comes out and smashes the next Olympics around. There is unfortunate, there is no other avenue for her to go to. You know, I mean, where you're gonna? I know there's like some Tyson chicken track meets type shit, but I don't know if that's not in the real.
Yeah,
there's no real bread in that. So I hope she can ultimately come out on top. And just the double standard that we see so often, it's pretty abundant in this situation.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and like I said, this isn't like a direct comparison. This is just something that I've heard somebody say. So Michael Irvin, Cowboy, Dallas Cowboys legend. I literally heard him in a podcast say that he's still eating off of balls he caught over 25 years ago. Like, I know that's the NFL. It's a different sport, but that is just like, it would have been so much more magnified for her if she would have been able to place and not miss out on that opportunity because, for smoking marijuana. Like, that's literally when that's what sports really is. When you do things, in that environment at a high level, like, you're remembered forever. Like, we'll be talking, like Usain Bolt, like, he's going to be in record books 20, 25 years from now, and he's still going to be profiting, whether it's commercials, appearances. Like, I mean, there's just so many things. Like, the list is so long of stuff that she, was not gonna. Hopefully, she can, recover and, come back and be able to, do what she does in the Olympics down the road. But like I said, you got, I think people don't really realize how big of a deal it was for her to just, be punished for smoking marijuana. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it.
Lifelong punishment for a blunt.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As simple as it goes to. Yeah. No, I'm hoping it comes out on top. I'm hoping. I follow her on social media. She seems to be turned to activism. If she's not given another opportunity within the sports world, I think she could at least turn this into some sort of, this was done to me wrongly and help prevent it from happening in the future. But I'm hoping, and I'm hoping and praying she does get more opportunities. I mean, she's pretty young. She's like 21, 22. So
yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. We'll have to see how it all unfolds. So,
you got anything else for the people?
That's all I got, man. Thanks for tuning in once again.
Yes, sir. Peace.